What is up, guys? Ninja Nick 333. We are back with round 3, back to the Masters division of this KirwansGameStore League Cup. We've got my boy Tori Dunworth here on the left, as well as Scott Dunham on the right. Both these players are those ones that tend to do very well at these like box tournaments or league challenges all the time. This is our first, well, I guess second League Cup in the area. There was one in Albany, but Albany runs their events really poorly, so I decide not to record there. So, they are jerks. They kicked one guy out for bringing in half of a soda. They kicked another guy out because he knocked out a guy, like IRL. He like punched the guy in the face, knocked him out. They also kicked another guy out for being a employee at another game store and just playing at their league for fun. Also, they charge for free league. That place is a whole mess. Don't go to Zombie Planet in Albany, guys. It sucks. So we do see Scott, unfortunately, starts Luminion and attaches a Psychic Energy for turn and passes. This is a Gardevoir mirror match. Tori is off to the races here. Opens the double Battle VIP pass. Kind of having the opposite start to what Scott is having here. So, looking pretty good for Tori at this point. So, definitely doesn't even feel like he needs to retreat. If he gets the Mew and retreats into it, that would be like the best open whatsoever. So, does get that concealed cards in, discards an energy to draw 2 more. Puts down the Zacian. If he has an energy to attach, that would be pretty sweet here too, because that would make this game 1 end pretty fast, but unfortunately does not have the energy in hand to attach, just the Roar of the Sword. But if he can Rare Candy Gardevoir EX, he'll pretty much just win next turn. So we'll have to see if Scott is able to get at least a bench Pokemon. Looks like he will be. He does have the level ball. Really unfortunate thing about this start is if he does get into the Battle VIP passes, he will not be able to play them as it is no longer his first turn of the game. And Tori shows him that he has like double level ball in hand, and Scott just decides to scoop. I believe that's how that game went. I don't see why else they would have just ended that game so fast. So pretty unfortunate opening for Scott there. Hopefully he is able to draw a little better going into game 2. But if you are going to lose a game, you might as well lose a game with only 3 minutes burnt on the clock here. Also, I realized not only, like, I noticed in a previous round that I was looking really red, but I think that's because it's super hot in here. I need to turn my air conditioner on. I'm like sweating balls right now. So they are shuffling quite a bit here. Very thoroughly. Tori pile shuffling between games. Don't tell Azul. He might come by with a drive-by. I personally don't believe anybody should ever pile shuffle because it doesn't change anything besides a mash shuffle would do. It's less of a shuffle than a regular overhand. So we're gonna go in for the cut. Only have used about 4 minutes on the clock so far. We are gonna probably see 2 complete games here, of course, as long as Scott is able to win one of those. Plenty of time to play those. So Scott should be going first. Yes, he is. He's going to draw for turn. Does get the Battle VIP pass. This is a much better opening. Also starts that Luminion in hand again as well. Good thing that he did not have that as his only basic Pokemon in hand, because that would have been very bad. So we're probably going to get like double Ralts or Ralts Radiant Greninja. Or Ralts Mew, retreat into it and use the Mew, but there's no energy in hand, so getting the double Ralts here makes the most sense. If he had an energy in hand, those other 2 plays would have been a little bit more correct, but yeah, no energy in hand, so no way to retreat a Pokemon, no way to use a Radiant Greninja, so might as well just get the full Ralts Brigade out, using that level ball to get the final one. And he knows that Tori is not going to be able to take a turn 1 knockout, being a Gardevoir mirror match here. So feels perfectly safe leaving that Ralts up as well. So Tori here is going to go for a level ball to find a Ralts of his own. If he had Battle VIP Pass in hand, you likely would have seen that as his first card of the game. We do have the Sky Seal Stone. That's not a Forest Seal Stone, so we will not be able to see that be attached to a V Pokemon to find a Battle VIP Pass. So what else can Tori do here to get more Pokemon? Hopefully he has a draw supporter of some kind. Plays down the Temple of Sinnoh. That does not matter in this matchup. This Sky Seal Stone also does not matter in this matchup. So might as well put that down just to thin it out of your hand in case you get judged on a future turn. And we are going to see Scott is going to immediately evolve into a Kirlia, as well as play a level ball, likely to find another Kirlia. We are going to evolve the bench. You don't want to evolve the active just yet. You want that to be your last evolution because it does have a 2 retreat cost as opposed to 1. So if you are able to go in with an attack or like a Mew for the ability, then you'll have an easier time moving the Ralts than you would a Kirlia. So always evolve all of your benched Pokemon into Kirlia before you evolve your active into Kirlia, is usually a general good rule of thumb. Especially if you get like a rare candy, you could always rare candy your active into the EX and then be able to attack with it the same turn. Hit for 190 is pretty good. So we are going to see a Forest Seal Stone come down to the Luminion as well. Luminion finds that Professor's Research to draw 7. I do believe that is a Forest Seal Stone, so we will be able to search our deck for any one card, which will be pretty great. We are going to level ball here as well. Finding another Kirlia. Again, we should be evolving that benched one again. Yes, he is doing that correctly. And you could always, for fun, attack with Memory Skip, too, if you really don't want to attack with a Zacian, if you don't have the ability to. If you can't get that Rare Candy Gardevoir off, you're not going to be doing any other attack. So you might as well use the Ralts' ability in order to be able to shut off that first attack from the Cresselia. But you could always just not attack, and it would be just as fine as well. Because the 10 damage isn't going to matter. It's just shutting off the attack. So if Tori was able to like Rare Candy into the EX and load energy up onto the Cresselia, then you might see it attack. So that's when the Memory Skip would come into play. But again, probably not very unlikely that that's going to matter. Also, Scott, one of those guys that plays Bling Bling Boy, as I call it. He's got all of those max rarity cards in his deck. He's got those secret rare psychic energies, which look pretty baller. He's got the alt art of the Gardevoir, which I love the arts that like tell a story when you evolve all the way up. So like the Emboar was the first one to do it with the Inferno Fandango. And then they did a Charizard as well that had a story like that, where it grew up with the trainer. Always nice to see cards like those. So we are going to attack with that. I don't quite agree with the benching of the Zacian, just because if you saw Rare Candy, Gardevoir, EX, Boss's Orders, then Tori could kind of lock that Zacian into the active spot. So I think holding it for a turn would have been a little bit better. So we are going to see an Ultra Ball here from Tori is going to get rid of, it looks like a Shining Arcana and a Gardevoir EX. Ooh, yeah, this is not looking good for Tori whatsoever. These stream matches going pretty fast here. Tori is going to go for the Luminion to grab a Research, is going to bench a Ralts and then Research here. So it is giving him a potential out to be able to actually set up during this game, but Scott is definitely in the driver's seat here. I mean, look at his board. He has so many Kirlias. He doesn't even need to evolve any of them. He can just leave them as the Refinement Kirlias as long as he wants, even if he has the Gardevoirs in hand, just because he can continuously thin his hand of cards he does not need, like Psychic Energies or Battle VIP passes and the like. Probably Professor's Researches at this point would be pretty dead as well, if he has any others of those. So we are going to see 10 damage come down to 1 Curly. Oh, he's just using that to mark which abilities he's used. It would be better to just tap it, turn it upside down, or use an actual ability used marker than to put dice on there, because that does make it look kind of like they have damage on them. Or you could just put like the die underneath the Pokemon, like not on top of the Pokemon. I mean, I guess as long as both players are aware of the situation. So it does put another die down to signify he's used the third Refinement. Has a ton of cards in hand here for Scott now. Even has the Worker. He's going to discard that Stadium just because he can. To draw another 3 cards. That supporter is better to play than any other supporter in this scenario. Might as well. The only other thing that would be good here is if Scott has the Collapse Stadium, he could discard his own Luminion. But it looks like he just has his own Temple of Sinnoh. So, because he used the Worker to discard that first one that Tori had, now he is able to play his own out. So, is able to perfectly thin out as many cards as he can in the best way possible. Doesn't put any unnecessary energy into play. Puts 1 energy onto that Kirlia from hand, which I think is perfectly fine. Anything you want to knock out in one hit with the Zacian can probably just be loaded up with 1 attach for turn and the Psychic Embrace for a whole bunch of energy from the discard, so that should be fine. If this Gardevoir gets hit in, we still likely have Collapse Stadium in the deck. I personally believe that the best stadium count in Gardevoir is to play the Worker, play 2 Collapse Stadium, and 1 Champions Festival. But if you don't have Champions Festival, Temple of Sinnoh is the next best thing. You could play 2 Champions Festival and 1 Collapse Stadium, but I think the Collapse, getting rid of the Luminion, is really good. Making sure that you have the ability to even play Luminion in your deck to not have that bad of, not have it sit there as a bench sitter is pretty good. The Champions Festival can always get you that 1 extra energy that you need from your discard onto one of your Pokemon in certain situations. You do have to fill up your whole bench in order to use the Champions Festival, which is a little rough. But it also helps against Lost Box as well. If they try to spread some damage with a Sableye, you can always heal off of multiple Pokemon at the same time with Champions Festival, because it does heal 10 from all of your Pokemon as long as you have 6 in play. We are seeing the Ultra Ball here from Tori is going to be able to find another Kirlia. Looks like Tori is still in this game, but he is 2 prize cards behind now, so he's gonna really need a good Roxanne turn at some point, and because Scott hasn't evolved any of his Kirlias into, any of his other bench Kirlias into a Gardevoir here, it's gonna make it so that he has good outs to getting out of something like a Roxanne, so we're gonna really have to see how his draws go. And Tori scoops up his cards. He's like, I'm done. All right. Yeah, that was pretty rough for Tori there. His start was not anywhere near as good as Scott's. They're going to go straight into a Game 3 here. So pretty mirror opposite starts in these 2 games from both players. But again, 36 minutes left to complete a Game 3. We'll definitely see a finish to this game. So they have not updated the bottom of the screen. That you might be noticing that it takes a little bit of time because they only have 2 employees at the store working at a time for some reason, and they don't have any events like they used to. When I used to go to this game store, they used to have like 30 people in their play area playing like 3 or 4 different games at a time for all their tournaments. And now when I went there, we had a 9-person League Cup, and that was the only event going on. Until the League Cup was over, they did like a 5-person Digimon tournament, I want to say. Don't quote me on that number, though. So, you know, Stefan, who was updating the bottom of the screen here, he was also bumping to the other side to help customers as well sometimes, so. But I do love their layout for this. It's very clean. I hope that they get back into doing streams fully. I guess they didn't have all of their equipment, so they couldn't have a commentator. Their basement where they do have commentary, I used to do commentary for them. So Stefan showed me like a whole kit they got from Wizards of the Coast, because they're a WPN Premier store. They got like a whole streaming kit from Wizards, which is insane. Like little white umbrellas, a gigantic, super sturdy tripod and everything. It's absolutely amazing. Like tons and tons of really nice light bulbs. One webcam, which I think he had to use for this, because another guy stole all of the streaming equipment and like ran to Rhode Island for some reason. I don't even know. They don't even stream, so I don't know what they're doing with all that equipment. But they're getting back into the swing of things now, which is great. They used to have face cams and everything too. There's a really solid one where I was playing Rayquaza Vikavolt against the Buzzwole Weavile Garbodor Shrine of Punishment deck the weekend that deck was invented. I was at a League Cup here, and you could see some pretty great. It's on my channel, actually, if you want to scroll really far back, but I made some pretty great faces in the webcam. I was just like the whole time, because not only was I bricking, I was attacking with Vikavolt the one game, but oh man, was that a one-sided matchup. I did the best that I could, I promise. But that was not anywhere near enough. That was my pet deck of the format. I really loved that deck. I really like decks where you just like go Blar. So I'm really hoping that Chen Pao ends up working out. It seems from some people's testing that it's just not quite consistent enough. Which is a little sad, especially with a card like Irida in format that makes it so easy to set up a Baxcalibur. It's just the fact that the Chen Pao discards the energy as opposed to leaving them on it like Keldeo. Plus you don't have the rush in ability like Keldeo has. It's just like, it's not the same. It's really not the same. But the damage output can be higher. But again, Pokemon HP is higher currently. But I'm definitely looking forward to playing some Chen Pao, because I do like to just drop energy and go Blar. That's my favorite type of deck. It's the most fun to play. The closest thing to that right now is Gardevoir, but it takes so much setup that it just isn't consistent enough for me. So some pretty standard Gardevoir starts here. We got some Mews in the active. Both of them have the cool alt art Mew. I don't have any of those yet. But they are pretty nice looking. We are able to get some battle VIP passes going here from Scott's side. Looks like Scott is yet again having a better start than Tori. Tori only getting one Ralts into play turn one, but at least he has the Radiant Greninja this time. Doesn't have to bench a Luminion just yet. Didn't start any Manaphy's or anything. So, but Scott does have the quad Ralt start, even though he is going second. It looks like this is going to be Scott's game. As long as he's able to chain some Curlias again next turn. I see a Level Ball and an Ultra Ball, so it looks like we should be able to do that. Especially if we draw into something along the lines of a research off of one of the Curlias. Scott will definitely be able to get going and kind of steamroll this game. So Tori does go for the concealed cards, discard a Psychic Energy to draw two. Looks like he's got two Gardevoirs in hand, one of the EX, one of the Shining Arcana. He's going to use the Mew to try to find an item card. Looks like there is a research in there. He probably would want to take that. Unfortunately, it is not an item card. So it looks like we are going to be evolving into a Gardevoir EX maybe this turn. Looks like we are going to play a Level Ball to grab another Ralts as well. I think what you do here for Tori is you Rare Candy into the EX, you put an energy onto the Mew to retreat it into the Gardevoir EX, attach for a turn, put two energy from the discard pile onto it, attack, knock out the Mew, and then hope that Scott doesn't have the ability to attack on this next turn. So yeah, getting the rare candy Gardevoir is huge here, but he does have to have 3 energies available to him. 1 in hand and 2 in the discard, or just 3 in the discard. And I don't know how many are in the discard right now. I know there's got to be at least 2. He's used 2 conceal. Oh, he's got 4. Okay, he's able to get there. So yeah, if you're Tori here, you definitely go for the attack right now. You have to. You have to prize race. Especially since you're set up so much poorer, but you can get 2 attacks off before Scott is able to do much of anything. If Scott is able to respond to that, he'll probably have a Zacian. And that will even up the prizes after those 2 turns. So we are going to have to see that. So yeah, Tori definitely making the right play. He is going to go for the Psychic Embrace, is going to fully load up this Gardevoir EX. Really thinking about it, though. I think that this is the most obvious play, though. You have to go for it. Otherwise, you're just going to be too far behind. It looks like he's going to go for the Zacian instead. I guess that's fine. You're protecting the Gardevoir. But now if... yeah, I guess that's equally as good. Yeah, it's probably better. Because now you're not risking your only Gardevoir in play getting damage on it. Especially since you still only have 1 more Ralts in play. If you had 2 more Ralts, maybe attacking with the Gardevoir EX would be better. This looks like Scott is deciding which one he wants to evolve into Kirlia first. Looks like he's choosing to leave the... leaving the... Memory Skip one in play for now, in case he wants to attack with that this turn. That would be kind of funny. Although Tori would just retreat into the Gardevoir EX and attack, so... if Scott can get a rare candy Gardevoir EX this turn, I would say that he is probably in the running to win the game, so... definitely want to use the concealed cards first before the Ultra Ball, I want to say. Because you could just draw into the Gardevoir EX that you want to look for, and then you're not wasting as many cards. Definitely locking himself out of Memory Skip now by going for that Kirlia. And since he does have 2 Kirlias in play, and he is going for the 3rd Kirlia, maybe doing the Ultra Ball first is more correct, because then you make sure that you're a lot less likely to be able to draw into those. Oh, especially since you're going to go for the research here first. Yeah, that's definitely correct playing the Ultra Ball then. I didn't even see the research in hand. So I do see a rare candy there. So play out as many cards as you can, as many level balls and fog crystals as you can to try to thin the deck out so that you have the most odds of getting into your EX here. And then use your Kirlia's refinements to try to get there. Or find like another Ultra Ball or something. So we do have a Battle VIP Pass. You could always just discard that. Oh, we get the Forest Sealstone as well. So we definitely have it. Even if we miss it off these Kirlias, we have the ability to take the knockout this turn. And that's going to be looking really bad for Tori. I think if you're Scott, you actually do attack with the Gardevoir EX for sure instead of the Zacian. You just put the Zacian in play to be able to use the Forest Sealstone. Going to use our 3rd Kirlia, discard the Battle VIP Pass to draw another 2. We do get the Gardevoir EX off this last card. So since we have Rare Candy in hand, we Rare Candy the active into Gardevoir EX, put some energy from the discard pile onto it, and take this knockout here. Yeah, because that is more than enough for the knockout. And the only way that Tori would be able to take a revenge knockout is to set up another Zacian. As opposed to if you attacked with your own Zacian, then Tori could respond with his Gardevoir EX. So you want to make it so Tori has the least options to retaliate as possible. I'm not used to talking this much because I haven't recorded in like 3 weeks. My throat's getting so dry. So Scott does do the play. Like I said, he attaches 4 turn from his hand, then gets 2 energy from the discard pile, making sure there's the least amount of damage as possible onto the Gardevoir EX. Takes the knockout on the Zacian, takes 2 prize cards, and he's now in the prize lead. So the only way Tori can respond is another Zacian. So this deck generally does play 2 Zacian V, but he's going to have to find that second one now. Does play a Fog Crystal that could have gotten him the Zacian V if it was in deck. But of course, it could always be prized too. There are still 5 prizes remaining for Tori, or he might have to play Miriam to get the one that was just knocked out back into the deck. So looks like it is in deck though. So Tori does have the ability to attack with it. He also needs more energy in the discard pile, so it was correct to use the first Fog Crystal of the turn there to be able to get that psychic energy. Yeah, because I don't think Tori has nearly enough energy in his discard pile to be able to attack with the Zacian this turn anyway. And even if Tori does attack with the Zacian, Scott's always going to be 1 prize card ahead of Tori here. Yeah, I think if Tori was to attack with the Gardevoir EX on the previous turn instead of the Zacian, he wouldn't be in this position. Because I don't think Scott would have been able to take the one shot. So maybe that was a misstep by Tori. Looks like Tori just goes for a pass. That's going to let Scott go up yet 1 more additional prize card. And this is looking really, really rough for Tori now. I don't think that there's any way he can come back at this point after just passing this turn. Yeah, in the mirror, if you just do not get the right setup, if you can't just like double battle VIP pass turn 1, if you can't get like 3 Kirlia and play turn 2, the whole deck just kind of falls apart because you really need that early draw with the Kirlias to get going, to get set up, to get your attackers going. So Scott's hand is massive. Uses all 3 refinements, is going to be able to now use Shining Arcana even. Maybe he'll get an energy off of this. Looks like no, but he does get another Shining Arcana as well. I know a lot of people do play 1 Shining Arcana Gardevoir. I think a lot more people have gone to the 2 Shining Arcanas now that I prefer. I'm not sure if you evolve the next Kirlia yet. Because if you get Roxanne, then that's less cards that you're able to discard. Refinement is better than Shining Arcana. Just being able to thin your hand and deck of all those cards that you don't need. Alright, so 3rd refinement of the turn. Gonna get rid of the Manaphy. Draw another 2. It's always funny, the order that you use Shining Arcana and Refinement is always like the wrong way. You always draw the Psychic Energies off the Kirlias and the item cards off of the Gardevoir's Shining Arcana. So Scott's hand is like 20 cards, it looks like right now. He's going to level ball again, yet again, because he's just going to intentionally fail it. Just wants to thin it out of his hand in case he does get Roxanne. He did choose to go for the second Shining Arcana. I mean, it's fine. He's still drawing 2 cards either way. It's just 1 less card that he can grab. So, looks like he must have Fog Crystalled. I didn't... Oh, he used Concealed Cards. I think. Or no. How did he get that Psychic Energy out of his deck? I must have missed a Fog Crystal. So he is going to go for the Boss's Orders, retreat into the Zacian, and I think at this point he has enough energy in the discard pile to go for a 1-shot. So let's count this up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 energies. Times 3 is 270, plus 60, more than enough to knock out that Gardevoir EX. So Scott takes another 2 prize cards, goes down to 2 remaining. Tori's still at 5 prize cards. The only way he could come back in this game is if he were to play Mewtwo V-Union, maybe. But of course, he does not have access to that. And even if he did, Scott just needs to attack with another Zacian one more time and is able to kind of pull that out. So, because Scott doesn't have enough like single prizers that are damaged right now. He's been attacking very well. He's got, you know, because he has those Gardevoirs evolved, they have more HP as well. So yeah, it looks like pretty bad for Tori here. Even though Scott is getting Roxanne to 2, he still has Refinement and double Shining Arcana, so he'll be able to see an additional 6 cards during this turn. Plus his draw for turn, that'll be a 9-card hand off of a Roxanne, essentially, instead of the 3 he would normally start his turn with. Tori flashed the fact that he had double Battle VIP Pass in hand, so that's really unfortunate for him that he was able to draw into those. But again, that's why you need those Curlias early, so you can discard those cards like Battle VIP Pass, so that when you do get Roxanne or Roxanne yourself, that you don't have those cards in deck. And Tori's like, yep, I lost. I'm just going to scoop now because it's pretty blatantly obvious that I have no out. I'm too far behind on prize cards. I still don't have the setup the way I want. And that is the game. So as always, guys, do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe and all of that good stuff on the side. Do not forget to check out that description box down below for the links to the Discord and the socials and the Twitch and all that good stuff. And we will see you guys next time for the final Swiss round before Top Cut.